last two. And I have like an opening thought for us. The key is to trust your heart to move where your unique talents can flourish. This old world really spins when work becomes joyous and the expression of the soul. And that's just a complicated more way to say that love what you do. Love what you do, and it'll come back to you. You know, make it fun. Don't count the amount of time you put into it. Just enjoy the process and, you know, love what you do. So, welcome back. We talked a little bit about podcasts. Here's two books I recommend. Take the Stairs, 7 Steps to Achieving True Success. He was our keynote speaker, Rory Vaden, at our director's event about 2 years ago. Really, really good book. I think he does have some podcasts as well. And the other one is 100 Ways to Motivate Others by Steve Chandler. And there's another one that's 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself. And I highly recommend that as a great book. I have 4 ways when I catch myself loafing that I can pull myself back to center. But this book is great. I'm going to share a couple little tips from it at the end. Okay, so 6 weeks to success. Yeah. All right, we are going to do the PowerPoint. Okay. All right. I think if you did your homework, I know Karen, you were talking a little bit about the audio video trainings from Christina Cunningham, and so you've done. And Robin, did you do your homework? Okay. Those were absolutely amazing. There were great tips on selling. I just want you to know that bookings they're just another product. Just like you can learn to sell the rock crock, you can learn to sell bookings. So the same thing, what would you do to learn to sell the rock crock, Robin? Oh, we'll get you unmuted.
Oh.
And I'm going to ask Karen questions too, so I've unmuted you both. Okay, Robin, what would you do to learn to sell the rock crock?
I would pretty much like I did last night when I made dinner. I made just, store-bought chicken helper. You can use it for that. You can use it for anything.
Okay, so use it, right? Learn about it.
Right.
Karen, what would you do to learn to sell the rock crock at your shows?
The biggest thing that I kind of took away from that is not even just with the rock crock, but was pretty much everything, was knowing the features and knowing why the features of the product will benefit you. One of the things I know that probably, because I know I've sold a few, it's not my top selling. I actually went and looked up my top sellers, and it seems to be very low price items are my top sellers. But anyway, but it's knowing the features of the rock crock and why would it benefit you. So basically it taking all kinds of heat sources. In my experience of using it on a campfire, and I've used it in the microwave, and I used it under the broiler. I've done I did tater tot casserole. I was going to take pictures of the process, and I totally forgot. Anyway, I took the first picture and then I forgot the rest. But basically that is just knowing what the features are, what it's made out of, and why is that a good thing for you.
And how you're going to use it, recipes, different ways to use it, how different size families could use different size ones, things like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, learning how to sell a rock crock is exactly like learning how to sell bookings. You have to study the process. You have to learn the features and the benefits of the host program. You have to understand why most people book a show. A lot of people believe that most people book a show for free, and free is definitely important, but is not as important as fun. And that no matter how much you give a hostess for free, if she doesn't think her friends and her family are going to have a fun time, she's not going to book a show with you. So that's really important. So I'm going to go move on to the next screen.
I am going to mute. My kids are just getting out of bath, so you're going to hear lots of screams. So I'm going to mute it unless you ask a question.
All right. Okay, so now that you've learned some amazing selling skills, you are going to need to start sharing these tips at your shows. And you're going to need to practice. Okay, so obviously if you have shows booked, you're going to be able to practice. But if you don't have shows booked, you need to invite people over to your house and say, I need to practice with you. So that's kind of important. Or you ask people to book a show because you're in a special program and that you need to practice. Any way you can get bookings or get in front of people and practice, or even practice in front of the mirror, it's going to really help you. So, you know, from there, it's natural for us to start talking about bookings and prospecting and feeling comfortable with that. So some people use flashcards. I always recommend, if you are giving a speech or you are doing a show, that you use flashcards, bullet point kinds of things, and hole punch them and put them on a key ring that opens and closes, and number them. If you ever drop your cards, having them numbered is crucial. And most of the time, if you have them on one of those little rings and stuff, if you drop them, they stay all together and you can find them. But there's no shame in having a binder that you use or flashcards that you use. I've been doing this a long time. So my system is the key things I want to talk about my show, and I definitely don't want to forget. I make a pile of them next to my cutting board. I do some station style shows, but a lot of my shows are hybrid, where I do 60% and I have volunteers and some small groups doing the rest of it. So I make my little pile in front of my cutting board, maybe something that is next month's special, and that'll remind me to talk about that the cookware is on special or the stoneware is on special. Putting a little pile there. If I know my top sellers are the manual food processor and the ceramic egg cooker and the popcorn popper, putting those in a little pile to make sure that I talk about those. Having my hostess, I tell my hostesses to keep the drinks really simple, and that most people just do water and iced tea, and I have a nice herbal iced tea I can bring, and we can use the quick stir pitcher. And so, you know, I just like to have the what I call impulse items, not that they're that much of an impulse, but it's just like things that I know people are going to use and are our top sellers in the company. I might make those a little pile as well. But you definitely need to have a way that you remember to talk about the most important things. I know that people who do the binder thing find that a lot of people feel very comfortable recruiting with them because they know that they can do that too. It makes their job look easy. Okay, how do I? Okay. It's super easy to share when you're excited once you're educated about it. And as long as you have little prompts so that you don't forget about it. Of course, these products change people's lives. I can remember when I first started my business, we were stationed in Omaha and we were moving to go to Hawaii. And I was there about 5 years, and I did my business in Omaha for 5 years. When I first started out, I used to have to turn over the back of the catalog and show people that we were members of the Direct Selling Association, which means we weren't a scam company, because people seriously had not heard about Pampered Chef. And so I just had to show them that we were a legitimate company. And I can remember after being with Pampered Chef 5 years, it had really kind of taken hold in Omaha before I left. And I was at the commissary getting some snacks for the airplane for my kids. And there was a little girl tugging on her daddy's sleeve. And she was going, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, can we get some ice cream so we can try our new Pampered Chef ice cream dipper?" And I was just like, okay, I've gone from having to explain that we are a legitimate company to going to the grocery store and hearing somebody talk about Pampered Chef while I'm there. I was like, yes, but I have done a lot of vendor events, and over the years, I can't tell you how many people have said, I love the Pampered Chef ice cream dipper. Now our ice cream dipper has changed, right? And I tell people, and they go, oh, I want the ice cream dipper with the melting stuff in it. I said, well, we really had a problem with people putting it in a dishwasher and ruining it, and there were some changes in plastics and it had to be discontinued for some safety reasons, but Pampered Chef came up with a better ice cream dipper. And so I use this phrase, we reserve the right to get better. And I can't tell you how many shows I've said that at and how many different product changes. Because people will say, oh, well, I have the, oops, I think we're going to have a feedback. Okay, there we go. She muted. All right. We reserve the right to get better. And so with the ice cream dipper, it's definitely one of those things that people love so much that they didn't want change. Okay. Pampered Chef has a family advocacy center. Did you guys know that? That Doris Christopher started at a college, a center called the Family Advocacy Center that studies how children do better, what influences talking with your kids has on them, sitting down to dinner, just everything about the family. And it just studies kids at risk, getting food to the kids during the summer when they're, are used to getting a hot breakfast and a hot lunch. And they go through the summer and a lot of these kids are hungry. So our family advocacy studies all of these things, but they also look at other studies from other surveys and stuff. But it says that American cooks, 72% of American cooks 4 or more nights per week. And 54% of millennials would rather cook at home than go out or order takeout. So a lot of times it has to do with economics. They know that they're going to save money, but a lot of times it has to do with health. They know that they can eat healthier and control what they eat. But it's really interesting to see that it affects kids' grades, interview skills, less promiscuous, less apt to do drugs, smoke, or drink, all because they have dinner together. So, I really think that it's important for us to know how great our company is. It really is easy to share when you are out and about by wearing Pampered Chef logo wear or carrying a Pampered Chef catalog bag. The new totes, both of you are at conference, so I know you got your new Pampered Chef gray bag. I'm still carrying the bag that has the catalog in the front of it. Some people wear their name badges. Some people wear their apron into the grocery store. Like, every time they go to do a show, they leave early and they run into the grocery store to pick one thing up. Maybe it's fresh herbs or something. And they wear their Pampered Chef apron. Carrying the cookbooks to find the ingredients for the recipe. I hope that each of you have reusable grocery sacks, especially the polka dotted one, that we can put 2 inside of the cart and then carry some Season's Best inside of that, and some catalogs and business cards, because people are going to stop you when you use that polka dotted grocery carry-all. I can't tell you, my daughter, well, she lived in LA where she had to do groceries bags because they charge you there for them. They don't give them to you. And so she could do her entire grocery shopping with those very, very easily. And before we even sold them, people would come up to her and say, how can I get those? So they're a great way to promote your business. there's like a little script here that says when you're in the brownie aisle, carry the Naughty Brownie recipe cards and give them away. You know, I don't think that people think it's crazy. You can always just leave them there, get them in people's hands too. But knowledge is success. And if you copy successful people in this business, you will be successful. So if you can script out, and not, you know, Karen, I know that you're looking for a handout, but I suggest you make your own script. So you take Christina's words and you say, okay, well, you know, she's pretty funny. I might not say it that particular way, and then write what you would say. But make your own scripts. Make it yours. Spend the time doing the process so that you feel really, really comfortable. But if you follow successful people and you do what they do, you are very, very likely to be successful too. So it's hard not to share what you know. When you watch people, like I watch people cut up watermelon, and I just want to grab the knife and go, let me do that for you. There's an easier way to do this. Take the rind off the watermelon instead of the watermelon out of the rind. And I just want to show people how simple it is to do it a different way. And so you know that you're going to have an impact on other people when you share the Pampered Chef. So
I need to learn how to do that because I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, our bread knife is fantastic. And if you'll just cut your watermelon in half, turn it upside down, and start skinning it. You waste very, very little watermelon, and you can then cut it up beautifully
I'll have to show my nephew that
pieces
too.
or however you want to use it. I think it's much, much easier. I watched a professional chef one time do it that way, and I was just like, oh, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you have something to share, you're going to want to get out there and share it. Okay. I'm not crazy. Well, maybe I am, but you just got to love me, you know? And I think that that's one of the things at my shows is that I am very down to earth and approachable. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be perfect. But if people are having good food, they're eating, they're laughing, they're having a good time, you admit that you make macaroni and cheese or chicken helper, you know, they're going to...
That's incredible, man. That mac and cheese goes a lot quicker.
Yeah. So, I mean, people want to know that we use our tools, and we even use our tools to make macaroni and cheese, especially if, you know, you can make it in the large micro cooker, and that's a single size serving for a teenage boy. You know, it's just easy to talk about our great products. But, you know, a lot of people struggle with what's for dinner. And so if you can tell them, you know, I used to struggle all the time with what's for dinner. But now I take my favorite cookbook and I just like have gone through and I write in the back cover all the different ideas that I have for dinner. Then when I struggle for dinner, I just look inside of the cover and I have 30 different ideas that I know my family's going to like. And I know that I typically keep those kinds of things on hand, so it's going to be easy for me to find something for dinner. But there are times when my grandkids are over and I am in a rush and I'm trying to take care of the baby and make sure that he is getting to be successful with his potty training, and I need to get dinner on the table really fast for my grandkids. And I do whip out the macaroni and cheese, just like everybody else. And people like to hear that. They, you know, if they say, oh, you must eat like this all the time, and you laugh because you know when you're recipe testing, you eat like this. Or when you're having people over, you know, we do family dinner and I cook more elaborately. My husband's out there fending for himself tonight. I mean, it's just one of those things. He could either choose for us to exercise or I could make dinner. So he decided he wanted to exercise instead. And so he's in there trying to figure out food for himself. I just think that if you can just show people how easy the recipes are, And that's one of the things about the season's best. The season bests are recipes that you can make in 30 minutes or less. And they've always been like that. Now we have the one pot meals. And I just think everybody you know needs to have that cookbook. Now we tasted a lot of the recipes at Connie's event. And there were a lot of really good recipes. One of the standouts was Chad made a lasagna ring in the fluted bundt pan, and it was gorgeous. So that was a really pretty treat that we had that night. The kale and bean and sausage soup, it looked scary, but it was really good. It was really healthy. So, you know, just trying those things, or come up with your own list of one pot meals. You know, Pinterest has tons of them. Make a Pinterest board. Make sure that you're giving out your Pinterest information on your catalogs, and market the one pot meals, even if, you know, you haven't tried every single one in the season's best cook.
Well, I was really surprised because I actually did that tater tot casserole as a one pot meal. I never would have thought, and it was all in my microwave too. I didn't even use my oven. And that was like, I don't know. I don't even know why I thought, I was like, oh, I should do that. And then it worked easy and it was just fine because I just ground my beef in there and then I dumped in the canned green beans and the cream of mushroom and added tater tots on top. And it worked out great. It was gone. I didn't have any leftovers and I was sad.
Okay, so out and about, when you're approaching people or you're talking to people, you know, there is the art of small talk. And, you know, chatting with people, and like in the Midwest, it's pretty easy. People are pretty friendly. You usually are talking to the people in the grocery store line. It's pretty easy, but you know, it's like harder in New York to do this, to chat when people don't want to do eye contact or whatever. So, you know, this is like a little bit of practice. I wouldn't say, hi, is this a good brownie mix brand? Because I know what the good brands are. You know, I do. And it's just like, you know, Duncan Hines is the best cake mix out there, you know, just different things. So, you know, what would you say? One time I was standing in a Ross's in Hawaii and I desperately needed bookings to get my business going. And I was just kind of standing in there in the kitchen tool aisle, and this gal was there and she said, I need a good ice cream dipper. Do you think this will be a good ice cream dipper? And she asked me. And I was able to say, you know, I really don't know if that's a good ice cream dipper or not, but I know that Pampered Chef has a great one and I sell Pampered Chef. If you wouldn't mind, I'll follow you out to your car and give you a catalog and you can look it over and you can talk to other people, because I think you're going to find out that lots of people love the Pampered Chef ice cream dipper. And so because she opened it up, it was super easy for me to engage. So if you're standing in the brownie aisle, you know, and you don't want to say, is that a good brownie mix brand, because it just is not in your comfort zone, maybe this would be. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm back in this aisle again, getting brownie supplies and cake mixes. I have to admit that my family is totally addicted to the Pampered Chef Naughty Brownies. In fact, any of my hostesses that have 12 or more guests at their shows, I will bring the Naughty Brownies to their shows for free. And I could comfortably say that, because I can't tell you how many times I've made that recipe. Right now, I could talk about the the chocolate cake recipe that I make in the little mini fluted pans. And it's my Aunt Nelda's recipe called Oh So Chocolate Cake. And I have made that cake now 4 times since we got those products. Considering I think I've only been home about 2 weeks total since conference, that's a lot of baking, you know. So Robin, Karen, what do you think you could say if you were out and about in a grocery store?
I guess it just makes me nervous because I didn't think you were supposed to be soliciting in a grocery store.
Okay. So the
So-
girl asked me if I knew if the ice cream dipper was a good ice cream dipper.
Yes.
And I said, I don't know if it is or not. I didn't slam their products. I just said,
Okay.
I don't know if it is or not.
Okay.
And I said, but I know that Pampered Chef has a good one. And after you're done shopping, if you wouldn't mind, I could follow you out to the car and give you a catalog.
Okay.
I don't think Ross's would have any problem with that.
Okay. Because that was like my biggest concern. I did, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I actually was in Walmart and I brought catalogs with me, and I definitely stepped out of my comfort zone, and I did try giving away 2 catalogs, and it was by far like the most awkward experience that I've had in a long time. So obviously I need more practice at that. But
Okay, so Hy-Vee, you're both in the area where you know what Hy-Vees are.
mhm.
Pampered Chef in Omaha and Lincoln had a long-standing relationship with Hy-Vee, where they would supply produce for us, and we would stand in the produce department and chop, slice, and dice. And we were able to have a drawing and give catalogs away. We did not sell in the store. We did not take orders in the store. And they actually had printed up Hy-Vee coupons for free cream cheese for our hostesses. And we partnership with a grocery store. You know, they pay people to come demonstrate for them. You can go in and talk to the manager and say, I would like to demonstrate in your store. I will chop, slice, dice, or whatever you would like, as long as you let me use my Pampered Chef tools, have a drawing, and let me give away catalogs. I promise I will not sell. I will not take orders. I am just there to meet people, chop, slice, and dice, whatever you want me to chop, slice, and dice.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So like mom and pop grocery stores that you know the people at, things like that, those are really great ways. And if you don't feel comfortable just, you know, doing it at a Walmart without permission, then go and see if you can't get permission. We had a long-standing relationship with Hy-Vee when I lived there, and we supplied people on Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays for them and their produce departments in many different Hy-Vees in the area. Okay, so have you guys seen this before?
No, not that specific one.
These are Post-it notes that we have developed through Vistaprint, and the information is all down here. Barbara Duke has redone it over the years with this little plate and spoon and fork kind of thing. But basically, this is the exact thing that the Hilt Brand directors team came up with at a director's retreat about 10 years ago. We were downstairs in the basement and we were talking about drawing slips, and somebody was using the removable tape to put on the back of them. And I said, wouldn't it be great to have a Post-it note drawing slip? And Lynette Almond kind of spearheaded our very first edition of this, but this is something that our director team put together, and now this is something a lot of people across the country and in the company use. And it's not enough just to give out the catalog, Karen. You need to get their information back. And if you have it on the back of the catalog ready to go, the little mini catalog, then you can just say, hey, would you just take a minute and fill out a little bit of this information for me? Take that with them and give them the catalog. So a great little that our director team came up with. Okay.
Nice
Again,
drawing.
here is another one of these scripts. I can't wait to try these brownies at home. Don't they look amazing? Have you heard about the Pampered Chef? Again, you're standing in line and you're just chatting with somebody. I can't wait to go home and make my new little mini fluted cakes. I used to go to the Nothing Bundt Cakes regularly and just buy a $4 cake for a friend for their birthday. And now I just make a whole bunch of them, put them in separate little small Ziploc bags and freeze 4 to a large Ziploc bag. And now I have little cakes on hand when I want to pamper my friends and my family. I can't believe how easy the cakes come out of their pans. I don't know what kind of nonstick surface they're using, but it is amazing. Again, just little ways to chat and do the chat factor. One of the things I know is, like, if I'm a mess, like I'm a mess right now. We just exercised. I ran out of time. I cut this too short. I'm a mess. And I'm just like, I can't believe I'm doing this video, but I am. One of the things that I do is I know if I'm trying to get business, the very first product I'm selling is me. And so if I drag myself out of the house and I'm a mess, how likely am I to talk to people? I'm actually wishing I don't run into anybody I know, right?
Yep.
So that's one of the things that I can tell you that you will be more confident is if you have spent a little time putting yourself together. You know, but you never know. You might just meet the gal at yoga next to you who wants to have a show. So it's nothing but a friendly conversation. I know people who say I could talk to a tree stump, you know. I'm just one of those people, if somebody's standing there, I'm usually going to talk to them. You know, sitting in the doctor's waiting office, I'm going to talk to them. So, you know, be ready with your 20-second commercial. And this is something that you need to practice and know what you're going to say. Of course, the new tagline that the company is using is perfect for us. What do? I sell Pampered Chef. We're making mealtime memories one meal at a time. We're making memories one meal at a time. And so you can just, you know, and let people know whether you're entertaining or whether you're trying to just get dinner on the table for your family, Pampered Chef makes it easier. If people love to cook, they're going to love the Pampered Chef. If they hate to cook, I can make it better, I promise. So a couple of the things that I've said over the years is I help people who hate to cook, love to cook, or love to entertain to like it even more, clean up faster, and enjoy the process. So you need to kind of figure out what you're going to say. Now that Pampered Chef has given us the tagline, making memories one meal time at a time, I think that's the perfect lead in to just say, whether you love to cook or hate to cook, Pampered Chef can make it better. So here's some other little suggestions. I help create mealtime memories with quality tools and tasty recipes. I show busy families how to get dinner on the table in less than 30 minutes. I help people realize that cooking can be fun if you have the right tools. I help people discover their inner Rachel Ray. I like to mention entertaining, and I also like to mention bridal showers, but this has to be something really quick. And you have to memorize it and know exactly what you're going to say. And a great thing about doing a vendor event, something like this, you can say it 500 times and really kind of get it cemented and feel really comfortable with it. You know, I'm so glad I'm not a lawyer. No one ever says I love lawyers. You know, I didn't make this PowerPoint. I hate that people pick at lawyers. I don't personally, well, I do have one family member, distant cousin, who's a lawyer and not even a practicing lawyer, but I hate to pick on anybody. I love the Pampered Chef, and I love that I do vendor events, and people tell me over and over and over again that they love the Pampered Chef too. So I don't need to like pick on any other industry. I think when you need a lawyer, you love them. Okay, always leave the house wearing your logo gear. Our new Pampered Chef vendor is fabulous. Check it out under the Business Center tab, under the Consultant Corners, the PC gear. And I know, Robin, you have the t-shirts that we made the year before, the black one with the,
rock crock.
yes. But also there was
Yeah.
one with just like a spoon.
Yeah, the
Um,
PC.
PC,
Yep.
like this little logo down there.
Yes.
I'd be happy to send you some iron-ons, either one of you, if you would like, for being on this call tonight.
I would
Sure.
love that.
Okay. All right, I'm writing myself a note.
And I did get
Nope.
your recipe cards. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. So now that we've talked about prospecting while you're out and about, let's talk about bookings at your shows. Bookings are the heart of your business. And this is really an important thing to know, that the magic number is 2. If you need to practice more about your out and about, review last week's class that we did. And if you want me to send you the PowerPoints on it, we can try to send you the PowerPoints. This week is more difficult because it's so large. It's stored in Evernote. It's not a file that we can just send by email. But you just really need to practice. So whenever you want to close a party, you never want to close a party without 2 bookings. And the reason why is we are going to do this little hostess math, okay? So if you do a show and you get 1 booking, it replaces it, right? And the next month you do that booking, but you don't get another booking, you're out of business, right? But if you do a show and you get 2 bookings and you do 1 booking and the next one reschedules. But at that show, you get 2 more bookings and those 2 bookings hold. And eventually that other show reschedules. And you do those 3 shows, and each one of those shows you get 2 bookings, you have 6 bookings. And at those shows, and say that 4 of them hold out of 6, and you get 2 bookings, you have 8 bookings. And out of those 8 shows, if you do 6 shows and you get 2 bookings, you have 12 bookings, okay? So if you concentrate on this magic number of 2, you are going to grow your business. If you are doing a show and getting a show, you are going to run out of bookings as soon as you hit a little bump in the road and it reschedules for later, or you lose the show altogether. So one of the things you have to do is you have to practice. So you want to add a catalog or a virtual party for gravies on your commission check. And we used to say that the kitchen show is the heart of your Pampered Chef business. But we're finding that more and more people are running their business virtually, and they are promoting other people who run, they're recruiting, bringing in other people who run their business virtually, and they are promoting to a director as virtual directors. So no longer is a virtual party necessarily gravy on your commission check. It can be the bulk of your business, okay? And you need to tell yourself you've got the magic. And there's a couple of ways that you can focus on this number 2. You have to ensure that you do a couple of things right, okay? And those are that you hostess coached effectively. And next call is all about host coaching. Tonight I was talking to one of my hostesses on the phone, and our show is this Saturday. And I asked her how many people she thought were coming, and she said 6 to 8 people. I said, well, how many people have you talked to personally? Oh, I've talked to 2 or 3 of them. And I said, the reminders are the most effective way to have a good show. And I'm going to, make paperwork for your show. So I'm going to call you Friday and check and see how many firm RSVPs you have. It's still plenty of time for her to get her show organized by Saturday. In fact, most of the hostesses are going to do their shows 4 or 5 days. You know, they're going to pull it all together. So showing up on time. Honestly, this is the hardest thing in my business. I tend to run late. And so when I was coaching my hostess today on the phone, I told her, you know, our show is at 6 o'clock on Saturday. I'm going to try to be there by 5:15. I really only need a half an hour to set up, but because I tend to run a little bit late, I try to always give myself that 15-minute pad. And so I actually tell my hostesses that I'm bad, so that when I get there half an hour ahead of time, I'm still on time. And it's something that I just keep working on. But I'm just like I'm going to not pretend to be the perfect cook at my Pampered Chef shows. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the perfect consultant. Make sure all your dishes are clean. Every once in a while you have a surprise. You know, you think something got washed and it stayed inside the bag and it wasn't washed. And I hate that. Make sure you're dressed appropriately. You know, and I know a lot of people wear jeans to their shows. Basically, you want to look professional. And that doesn't mean professional in a suit and a tie, but that you took time on your appearance, that you're clean and neat and well put together. Whether that's a Pampered Chef logo t-shirt and a pair, I usually wear black pants during the winter and black capris during the summer. It's just easy. And then I can wear it with a Pampered Chef logo shirt or sweater set during the winter. And that's my Pampered Chef uniform. Yes, I put an apron on the top of it, but I make sure that I've done my hair and my makeup. I have 2 minutes. Okay. All right. So smell good. Like if you can have food cooking when people are walking in the house, they are happy that things are starting to smell good. Talk about your higher priced items. It's definitely something that you need to create a desire beyond their budgets, because that's when they're going to need to have a show. Maybe it's a little sneaky to do this kind of stuff, but once people start getting all those half price and free items, they are glad they booked a show with you. Make your host feel special and appreciated. It is about her. She's stressed. She's nervous. What if people don't show up? She put kind of herself out there to have a show for you. She does not want to be embarrassed, okay? So you need to make her feel comfortable and like she is your queen and you want to take care of her. Go over your bookings at the intro, use a door prize slip, walk them through the boxes. It's not enough to just pass around the drawing slip pad and have everybody take one. I make a big issue about handing them to people individually and looking at people and say, now this is the most important part of the show for me. Will you please look at this? I'm going to go over the questions with you and answer them truthfully. I don't like to do this too early in the show because I want them to have a bunch of stuff that they want on their wish list, and I want them to like me. So I don't really, do this till the end of the show. So it talks about the 3-pile checkout. And how that works is that you have a recruiting packet, a host packet, and information on having a show. And so everybody who comes by and sits down with them, say, would you like to have some information on doing the business? I'd love to have you on my team. Yes or no? Would you like to book a show? I have hostess packets here ready for people to take. Yes or no? Would you like information on what it entails to have a show? Yes or no? And then you write down who took what. I don't necessarily go through all those drawing slips. If I have a moment and I can do it without people looking at me, I put the yeses on the top and the maybes in the middle and the no's on the bottom. You need to talk about virtual and catalog parties. If they say no, they don't want to have a show, make sure you ask them if they want to do a bridal shower or they want to have a virtual show. So there's a list of 17. We're running out of time here. You need to have your goals be clear. And one of the things that I like to say to show is my goal for my hostess, Kathy, this weekend is to get her at least 2 bookings. So her half price items continue. And then with Kathy, if I haven't gotten her those 2 bookings, I ask her, Kathy, do you think you can think of 2 people who might want to have a show? And then if that doesn't work, you can send an email to all the people at the show and say, before we close the show, I'd still like to get Kathy 2 bookings. Do you know anybody who loves to have shows that you could refer to me? And get everybody working for you. Okay, stop saying I wish and start saying I will. And you will get 2 shows at every show if you want to have them. This is basically the 4 pillars of success, and we talked about this last week. I challenge you to strengthen your system so much that you believe in our company's opportunities to host a show, purchase a product, join one of the fastest teams in the company, the biggest team in the company, and that you will begin to think that when you wake up in the morning that you can change somebody's life for the better. Surround yourself with positivity. We talked a little bit about podcasts. Was anybody able to listen to a podcast? Okay. Books, podcasts, you are what you think. And so if you are listening to positive things, you are going to be able to be more positive about the success that you're going to have. So I do love the Pampered Chef, and I really can't wait to share at my show this Saturday all the new products. And we're going to do a Hawaiian themed show, and I'm excited to use the all-purpose pot to do this Hawaiian pork in there and the steamed cabbage, and my hostess is doing rice, and we're going to do a coconut cake. And I know we're going to have a great show. So I am passionate about my show. I hope that you can see when, Karen, you can teach people to make a tater tot casserole for their family inexpensively and quickly in the microwave. I mean, it's great to have hot food during the summer that hasn't heated up your kitchen to make dinner and put it on the table. So if you're not feeling passionate, how can you find your passion? Looking at the national conference information, going through PCU again, the Pampered Chef University, watch YouTube videos, play with the tools at home. I always say hide your Pampered Chef tools and try to cook without them, and you will be so frustrated. Going to somebody's house that has a lousy vegetable peeler or dull knives, and you're just kind of looking around the kitchen going, where's the food chopper? I think doing without the product sometimes makes you even more passionate about them. Listen to the training calls. It'd be great if you and Robin, Karen connected and became Batter Bowl buddies, where you keep each other accountable and you text each other throughout the week and say, hey, did you listen to a podcast? Have you found out what that thing is? How do you do that? Keeping each other accountable, and we can send you each other's information. Find a fair or booth, go to a recipe night, find a Pampered Chef mentor, have friends over and cook for them and play with the new products with them. Homework, okay? This week's homework is listening to Abundant Bookings with Susan Warshay and Missy Eltz. And this is through Pampered Chef University Bookings, peer sharing, and we will send you the link for here, or it's going to be on our Facebook page, and these are really great speakers. Okay, promise that you will, how many shows are you committed to booking this week?
2.
Rob, 2? 2. Maybe you guys can commit to each other as Batter Bowl buddies and cheer each other along as you make phone calls or try to do things. if you willing to give out 10 mini catalogs this weekend. Set up a call with your recruiter or director to discuss the progress. Also, your Batterable buddy. How many leads did you get? How many bookings? How were your sales? What did you have trouble with? And what's one brag that you have for the week? A big, big thank you for attending this call. And we are excited to hear about your successes next week. I know that we're just kind of getting in the groove with this call, and we are looking forward to call number 3 next week, where we talk about post coaching. So just really quickly, do either of you have any questions? No?
I guess, can we, with host coaching, is there a lot of variables for you between virtual parties and cooking shows? Because the majority of my shows tend to be virtual parties.
I don't think so. I hostess coach catalog hostesses the same way I coach regular shows. There are some variables where you want to talk to your hostess about liking comments and responding to things on virtual shows that you don't have at a regular show. You know, I just want my hostess to have a good time at her show and, you know, interact with her guests. I don't really want her to do a whole lot for me at the shows. Just get me the ingredients, set them out, and have a good time with your guests. So, but at a virtual show, I need my hostess to be participating and liking and adding comments and interacting with her friends. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next week.
And being excited.
And being excited. Yeah. You want your regular hostesses to be excited too.
Oh, yeah.
And know what they're going to tell their friends about having a show. So, all right. Well, I have to get off and get set up for the director bound call. And I appreciate you guys being on this call. And Karen, thank you for making the choice to be in the Business Builder. And
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello? Caller. You just unmuted somebody. Stop share.